howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 319.
Woohoo!
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Hey, Doctor Who fans. Welcome back to another week. And another episode of the Big Blue Box podcast. It's great to have you here. I hope you've had a cracking week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yes.
Something Doctor Who related, mate. Got some big news break.
The old geezer on the street. All right, mate.
All right, mate.
Doctor Who, mate.
We've got some big old news dropping this week, mate.
Yeah. Bombshell.
The bombshell. We've got, probably the best way to describe it is we've got some big but expected news has dropped this week. Stuff that we've been speaking about for a couple of months now. Or a few months, probably.
All these months of like nothing, of tumbleweed, and then two great big bombshells. And wow, we got the Comic-Con and then a big bombshell. Just like that. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. Yeah, it was like, so we got some Doctor Who news coming up. It's going to be big, important stuff. And we're like, oh, great. What aliens coming back? What special characters coming in? You know, what's going to happen? New costume for Jodie. Is it going to be something cool? No.
Costume must be getting stinky. She's been wearing that same costume since day one.
Yeah, it's like, no. Just that thing that you all knew was happening is just now happening. Oh, okay. Okay, then.
Okay.
Dude, you sound a lot better this week.
Yes, I got a new mic. Yeah, just during our intro there, I was adjusting the volume because we were talking beforehand. I thought, yeah, it all sounds good. But when the music kicked in, it was really loud. So I was like desperately trying to find the volume on it. Still getting to grips with it. But yeah, I got a new mic. Yeah, hopefully I sound better. Hopefully.
Sound very good. Yeah, very smooth. Yeah. Very nice.
When I plugged it in, I was singing. I was like, oh, la, 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 1, 2, do, re, mi. Tested it all out yesterday. Neighbours must have been thinking, what's he at? So, yeah, hopefully, it's been a long time coming. I've been, obviously, the last mic broken. Yeah, I've been wanting to get a new one for a while. And as got a little bit of birthday money, I finally got one. Yeah. My other half was like, you're too old to get birthday money. I was like, shut up.
Too old to get, you're never too old for birthday cash.
Never too old. Yeah, he's right. He's like, oh, you're way too old to get birthday money. I was like,
sometimes it's the preferred option.
It's easier, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely easier, especially for me. And me and my wife are the same. We're so we know exactly what we like and what we want, and so typically throughout the year we just get stuff that, you know, we don't save up. We don't. What's the best way to put it? So if we see something, we won't say, "Oh, I won't buy that," and I'll mention it to so and so. They can. It's a bit weird. They can get it for my birthday. So by the time birthdays and Christmas rolls around, it's like, well, what do you want? Well, I don't know, because I've got everything that I've wanted.
Yeah.
So not that we give each other money or cash, that's, I'm not saying that's the deal, but it's definitely worth it with kids though. When kids get to a certain age, because up to a certain point, they like toys and video games and Lego and all that sort of stuff. But then when they get into like their early teens, I find it's like, well, what are they into? Like my nieces and stuff. Well, what are they into? Well, I don't know really. They'd probably just want the money so they can save up for something or go and buy something. So, but that never stops. Never stops wanting the old birthday cash. So fair play, dude.
It's always, I was going to say, I'm like you. I've got so much stuff, and when people ask me, I'm like, well, and so a lot of the things, if you try to explain it, it's easier to say, I'll just give you the money and I'll go and get it, like the new, Doctor Who being M-sets or whatever. But like yesterday, my mum came over and she said my sister's little boy was really excited. He'd found something. He'd gone to Quainton Train Museum and he was like, he's found something for you. He's bought you a little present. I'm like, oh, what is it? And he'd found me this Dalek, and it was all boxed, and it was just like in one of the, like I have a little table of goodies that people have donated, and it's only a couple of quid. And there's one of the Moffat ones, the Paradigm. Is that what they're called? The Paradigm Daleks, the colourful ones. Yeah. Yeah, and he's really excited. I was like, oh, brilliant. I was thinking, and I could just see my partner, and he's like, he doesn't need any more Daleks. And like, you can never have enough. So that was really sweet. Dude, you just reminded me, actually. I knew I was going to say something when you talk about the bombshell intro. You were saying about, like, is it going to be an announcement of a monster or what, that sort of thing. And obviously the trailer didn't show us any of the monsters that we already know are coming back. But did you see Stephen Moffat just went and blurted out on Instagram that the Weeping Angels are coming back? And I bet Chibbers is like, oh, no, he's let it slip. And everyone's like, but we already know. It's just like they're trying to keep it all secret, but everybody knows that. Oh God! Well, I hope. Sorry, listeners, if you didn't know, but I'm assuming everybody knows. It's like it's been out there for months that the Weeping Angels coming back. Yeah, and Moffat just blurted it out on Instagram. So all that secrecy of not putting him in the trailer and all that sort of stuff just got blown out of the water. I think he put something like, "Oh, I'm excited that Jodie will be meeting the Weeping Angels before she leaves," or something like that. Yeah. I hope I'm not ruining that for everyone. That's pretty much general knowledge, right? Everybody knows, don't they?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. Sorry, I hope I haven't ruined it for anyone, but yeah.
No, I think so.
Yeah, but there's plenty of things we've all seen that are still top secret. But we've all seen them.
It's funny, isn't it? It's the world of fandom today. Eh? It's like, we've all seen it, but has everyone seen it? Well, you just said we've all seen it. Yeah, but has everyone seen it? It's like
yeah,
it's weird, isn't it?
But apart from getting my new mic, I haven't really done a lot else. I did manage to nab a ticket for the Evil of the Daleks BFI screening. Which
nice.
I'm very pleased about. Yeah. Nice. Again, though, mate, it's sold out and it hasn't even gone on to general sale yet. So it goes on sale a week before to BFI members. And then it goes on sale to the general public, but it's already showing it's sold out. So those events, mate, they're just getting so popular. I think I almost wish they'd sort of, I don't know how they could do it really, put it on twice, do it in 2 screens. I don't know. Or maybe they're just happy that they sell out. I'm not sure. But yeah, I know there's going to be a few disappointed people when they go on general sale, including our roving reporter, Maria. She messaged me last night and said she hadn't managed to get one. I was like, oh no. So... yeah.
Tough time.
Anyway, but
BFI,
she managed to get one last time, and I'm thinking they will hopefully release a few before it actually happens. So they always tend to do that, don't they? They'll hold a few back, and so she might still get one.
Yeah, that's what I plan on doing. Just having a look when it goes on general sale, because they normally release about, I don't know, a couple of dozen tickets. When it goes on general, they hold a few back, and then weirdly, you'll get this random sort of burst of people excited on Twitter, like, everybody, if you haven't got a ticket, go and have a look. About a week,
get on there.
Like a week outside of the event, all of a sudden, it must be the cancellations, I suppose, but you have like, a few tickets pop up here and there, so it should be cool.
If anyone's listening thinking, well, why? Because it's limited to 2. You're allowed to buy 2 tickets when you're a member. I'm not a member. I was a member. If you're thinking, well, Adam, why didn't you get her one, or why didn't I get you one? I'm not a member anymore. I was a member. I solely bought membership just to get early priority to make sure I got tickets to, the Doctor Who events. But even when I was a member, I missed out because there was a day. What was it? What was that one where I really lost my shizzle? Where I was on there the second I was a BFI member. I was there the second they went on sale, and I got one in the basket, and then I went to check out, and it said sold out, and I was absolutely steaming. I was like, I've paid for this membership, and it still didn't get me a ticket. So after that, and somebody then managed to get me one. I think they, like you said, they released a couple more. But after that, I thought, I'm not going to bother renewing it because it didn't do me any favours, you know. and I literally only go for the Doctor Who events. Although I absolutely love the BFI, I don't live in London, so it doesn't justify me buying a membership.
No,
I'm afraid.
of course,
but
no.
yeah, so a friend of mine got me a ticket for Evil, which I was very, very, very grateful for. But yeah, hold in there, Maria. They'll release some more. They always have a few smatterings of, like you said, cancellations, and I think people who are involved in it are always offered free tickets, and sometimes they can't make it. So, you know, there's always a good chance you'll get one.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. September, I think that is.
It is, yeah.
And if you can't get a ticket, just come for the old mash-up afterwards. That's always good. Mind you, I've got visions of us not getting out of the screen until about midnight because it's 7 parts, isn't it? 7 episodes. Plus, they show you a few sneaky new extras, and sometimes they have guests on stage and have an interview, and that is going to be a lot. That's the longest one they've done, isn't it?
I think so.
Even Sharda was.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a long. I hope they have a toilet break. I really do.
Oh, they will do, mate. Yeah, and as much as I love the BFI as well, it's such a lovely place to go, especially watching Doctor Who and stuff.
Yeah.
The seats at the BFI, they are a bit. Yeah, you do get sort of numb bum after a couple of hours of being sat there.
So, it was Talons. Sorry, it's going to be Talons of Weng Chiang, wasn't it? I think I didn't get a ticket for you.
No,
yeah,
you were.
I did in the end, but I mean, I think that was the one that I bought a membership for, and then it just sold out like within about 3 seconds in front of my eyes. There's a GIF online of someone throwing a computer off a desk. That was me that day. I was absolutely steaming, but yeah, I did manage to go. So. Yeah, never give up hope if you haven't managed to get one. There's always a chance.
There's always hope. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to be a long old day. That one should be good though. Should be good.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Hopefully, I'll get a ticket for that. And if not, I'll just go and do some shopping,
do some gardening
at Forbidden Planet for a bit, and then meet you later. And
come to the mashup.
Yeah. I'll go into Forbidden Planet and complain about the crappy Doctor Who merch on display, and then tweet about it, and then see what happens.
Now, do you know what? I've got to tell you, I'm not even joking now. So after that picture was posted on Twitter that everyone went mad about, and showing how poor the section was, I went into Forbidden Planet about 2 weeks after that, and I swear, I'm not exaggerating, it was even worse. There was I took a picture, but I didn't dare post it for fear of getting mobbed. There was about 3 mugs on the shelf, a couple of T-shirts, and a load of those sort of credit card holders. You know, like the little, what are they? You put your Oyster card in.
The travel card holder things.
Holders.
Oh, yeah.
There's about 1 million of them. Yeah. And honestly, it's terrible. Yes, they had a load of CDs downstairs before anyone attacks me. Ooh. Yeah, they had all that downstairs. But I mean, yeah, man, it was bad.
Yeah.
I've never spent such a short amount of time in Forbidden Planet as that day. I literally went in, spun round and went out,
Yeah, I must admit, the last couple of times I went there, I spent more time downstairs with all the books and comics and stuff than I did upstairs looking at actual like collectibles and merch and stuff. But yeah, it's a weird one. We won't get into that too much, but yeah, some good friends of ours went in there, posted a picture of the absolutely abysmal display. And as fandom has a habit of doing these days, they just got absolutely lynched for it, which is ridiculous because, you and I both have complained about it for years on this show. It hasn't got any better since, 2016-ish.
Yeah.
It started to deteriorate. So I've got no crumbs, mate. I'll stick it on Instagram and Twitter and all sorts. And
I did say, actually, I said, I wouldn't dare post it. I said, I just don't get involved in that stuff on Twitter anymore at all. I'll post pictures of my merch and that's it. But I said, Gary, he loves the ruckus. He'd have posted it straight away.
Exactly.
He loves all that. Yeah.
No one's going to tell me that I can't post on Twitter about the truth, because it's the truth. The Doctor Who merch these days is absolutely shocking. They make little strides here and there, like character when they start. Because earlier this week they announced that they were going to put some old figures that were on sale, however many months or years ago. They were going to start, whether they've got some left over or they've produced some more, they're going to sell those directly on their website, and they've put some pre-orders up over the last year or so. So that's pretty cool. And then every now and then Forbidden Planet will do a custom run of T-shirts and mugs to promote a certain era, like they do. They did a big Ace run
they were cool
a while ago. Then they did this Weeping Angels thing, and then they did the Doctor Who in general. I think that so they do make strides. They do things from time to time, but generally speaking, it's nowhere near as good as what it used to be back in the glory days of. Yeah, remember that pic that was doing around? This is going back a few years now.
Oh, that was Toys R Us, wasn't it?
Toys R Us,
amazing, amazing. And I can actually remember those. I can remember walking into those stores and seeing like those displays. It was mind blowing. God, you just don't. It's mad, isn't it? Because you just don't realise how quickly these things are going to change. Like that seems like yesterday, and it's so different now. Yeah. I mean, there's some new B&M sets coming out, which I'm quite excited about. As a Sensorite set, the bearded guys. I thought, how cool is that? Blemmin' B&M exclusives again, though. I mean, it's just such a shame because they're nice sets, for people like me that loves the figures and stuff. And Character has started selling stuff online, which is great, but they sell out, and which is all good. But these B&M sets, mate, sometimes they're really nice sets, and just trying to get them before the blimmin' eBay scalpers and the staff never know what you're talking about. It's such a. I would just love to walk into FP and be able to just see those sets on the shelf in mass quantities. You know what I mean? And they do sell. That's the thing. Those sets do sell. You look at that new TARDIS set B&M just released. Sold out in 2 days. So many thousand units that they produced, and the sort of classic series sets have got a good market and they sell really well. I would just love to see those sort of sets in FP, rather than having to scrabble around B&M trying to get to them before somebody goes and clears the shelf. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed. Yeah.
So there's still a few nice little bits out there. It just always seems to be tucked away or exclusive to some shop, or it's never just, you can never just go into a Forbidden Planet and get it, for example. It's quite annoying.
No, I read you. And even though the one in London is the mega store, like the flagship store for Forbidden Planet, and there were some people that replied and said, "Oh no, you guys are better than that. You haven't included all of the Doctor Who stuff that's downstairs and stuff." But anyway, anyone that got involved in that conversation on Twitter with our good friends, their channel starts with a W and the second word starts with an A, then hit me up. Hit me up on Twitter and I'll drop some truth bombs for you about that situation. So, yeah.
I told you Gary loves a ruckus.
They did nothing but speak the truth. So, so I might go into FP, mate, see what they've got in there, and then meet you guys after for a few drinky winkies.
Yeah, do that. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Hopefully get a ticket there. Anyway, should we get onto the news, dude? Let's get onto this big bombshell that was dropped.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah.
Righto. Confirmation. Confirmation from the Beeb themselves. Oh, so good to be saying that for months and months. We've just had, the Radio Times says this, and the Mirror says this, and the Sun, confirmed it's that. Anyway.
The current bun.
Yes, the current bun, yeah. So Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall are confirmed to be leaving Doctor Who after the trio of specials that are going to round up the end of next year. So in autumn 2022, as part of the BBC's centenary celebrations. The BBC's 100 years old next year. So as part of that, they are going to end on a big bang. Apparently, those two. So we've been talking, like I said, we've been talking about it for months. We all know it was coming. We all knew it was a thing. They've just longed it out for such a long time that it's obviously doesn't have. Which is there's a big, in my opinion, there's a big grand sense of irony with all this that Chris Chibnall has been the showrunner to keep everything so close to his chest and never reveal anything. Yet, ironically, the one big story that we're actually all interested in has been public knowledge for, 4 or 5 months now. So, in a grand scheme of irony, Chris Chibnall went on to say this: Jodie and I made a 3-series and out pact with each other at the start of this once-in-a-lifetime blast. So now our shift is done and we're handing back the TARDIS keys. I won't read his whole statement because it's quite long. But he just goes on to say that, Jodie's the best Doctor ever, and Doctor Who has been the best it's ever been since Jodie's been the Doctor, and it's going to be heartbreaking to see her go and all the rest of it. Jodie Whittaker went on to say that in 2017, I opened my glorious gift box of size 13 shoes. I could not have guessed...
Size 13?
Yeah.
Blimey.
I could not have guessed the brilliant adventures, worlds and wonders I was to see in them. My heart is so full of love for the show, for the team who make it, and for the fans who watch it, and what it has brought to my life. And then she goes on to say that I know change can be scary, and none of us know what's out there. That's why we keep looking. Travel, hopefully. The universe will surprise you constantly. And then lastly, we had a comment from the director of BBC drama, Piers Wenger. He said, over the last 4 years, Chris and Jodie have made Doctor Who history, and their time on the show is indelibly marked on our memories. From Rosa Parks to Ascension of the Cybermen, Chris and Jodie have given Doctor Who some of its most life-affirming and tear-jerking moments to date, and we are beyond excited to see what they have in store for us in the series this autumn. Jodie's final adventure to mark the BBC centenary in 2022 is set to be a Doctor Who special to remember. I'd like to thank them both for their incredible work on the show. And just to circle back to what Chris Chibnall said, because there has been some debate and some chatter about what they're actually going to do with the show once this wraps up, because we'll come on to it in a second, but the timing's a bit weird, because it seems like they've focused very much on the BBC celebrations, the centenary stuff, and not on the Doctor Who 60th anniversary, which would happen the following year in 2023. Yeah. So it's a bit weird. But anyway, so a lot of people have said, well, maybe the show's going to just be rested. Maybe they're whatever. Chris Chibnall does finish off and say, I wish our successors, whoever the BBC and BBC Studios choose, as much fun as we've had, they're in for a treat. So that kind of suggests that nothing's going to happen to the show, at least in the short term, in the next few years. They are going to continue with a new showrunner, a new Doctor and everything like that. But interesting times, dude, and we finally got the confirmation, so at least we know exactly what's going to happen, at least until the end of next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 60th is the thing that worries me the most. Because I have been saying for a while, haven't I, that I'd got this gut feeling that they were going to... I thought Jodie and Chris were going to go up to the 60th and we'd have a big 60th episode, and possibly they'd get David Tennant in because he's so involved in the show again at the minute, doing all this Big Finish stuff. And I just, that's what I could see happening. So I'm slightly surprised that the cutoff is now, like you said, just before the 60th. And I did have the gut feeling that it was going to get rested. I thought they'll do a big 60th and perhaps they'll rest it for a year or two. Somebody, another network might take it over or whatever. I don't know. So I don't know where this leaves us at all. I'm really, really not sure what's going to happen. I did see some quote somewhere, I don't know where the hell it was from the BBC, saying, sort of confirming that Doctor Who is going to continue. It's something about it regenerating into a new form or something. I don't know. There was something. Which I can't find the quote now, but I definitely saw it. So with that sort of suggested that they'd already got plans and they were going to announce something soon, that it was going to be a new regeneration of the show. And I thought, well, what does that mean? It was sort of worded very carefully like that. As for Chibnall and Whittaker leaving, I mean, like you said, it's no surprise. I think for me, the announcement, it was more the timing of the announcement, I think, which took me a bit by surprise, because I woke up in the morning and I opened Twitter and it was like one of the first things I saw. And I immediately thought it was one of those Twitter accounts that, there's one Twitter accounts that look like the official Doctor Who account, but they've like put the T and the O the other way. So there's, what I mean? So you can be fooled. You think, oh, it's not the official Doctor Who. It hasn't got the blue tick. And then I realized, oh no, it's the genuine account. This is a real post. This is a real announcement. And it seemed odd. I did sit there for a few minutes thinking, what a strange way to go about it. Like, we've just had the Comic-Con panel bigging up Series 13, and then they just sort of throw this out there. Oh, by the way, it's felt like a bit of an afterthought. So yeah, the actual announcement itself not surprising, but the timing just a little bit weird. I mean, I've just got to get this out of the way. I've never been one of these people that can't wait for a showrunner to leave. You know, like with Moffat and even J&T during those eras, there are these sort of groups of people that are all the way through the series are like, you know, Moffat has to go. He's ruining the show and all this. I've never been one of those people. I've certainly never wanted to see any of the Doctors leave before. But this is the first time when actually when the announcement was announced, I was like, like a sigh of relief. I genuinely just have not really got on board with this era, and particularly Jodie's Doctor. So I'm not one of those people that's sad to see either of them leaving, if I'm honest. I appreciate they got their fans, and I do feel for those people that are sad to see it go. I think there's a genuinely a lot of fans out there that are gutted. But I'm certainly not, I'm certainly not what they call not my Doctor. I'm not one of those, but I have to say I just have never clicked with Jodie's Doctor or the writing or the performance, and I won't be sad to see either of them go at all. I really, if anything, my first thought when I read it was, blimey, they're still here till the end of 2022. I was thinking we still got another year and a bit of them. That's my honest first thought. I don't mind. I don't hate it. I just don't. There's no spark for me at all. And I just feel this era, for me personally anyway, my own feelings on it's just been a massive wasted opportunity. I was so excited when Jodie was announced. You go back and listen to that podcast we did when she was announced. I thought she was going to be amazing, and I think she had a hell of a lot of potential. First female Doctor, could have been a really strong screen presence. If it's just been written so much better. And to me, I just feel like it just hasn't happened. I think she's been written to be a bit of a clown, really. I think they've gone for that sort of jokey, fun ray of sunshine. But to me, I just find it grating. There's no sort of depth to her Doctor. For me, anyway. I've just never clicked with them. And Chibnall's writing, I just find just doesn't really do much for me at all. So I don't know. There's been moments, but I personally am glad to see that they're moving on, and I'm sort of excited to see what we get next. But on the other hand, I feel like Chibnall's taken Doctor Who down a certain road, and I think it's a road that if they don't sort of continue at least kind of down that path, I just think it's a difficult one to go back on. I just feel that Doctor Who in the Chibnall era is missing that sort of dark sci-fi that I enjoy personally. I sort of, if you want to compare it to something, I'm thinking of like the Hinchcliffe era, that's just missing that sort of slightly darker edge and a bit more sci-fi. It's become too light, and although it's dealt with some of the most adult topics we've had in Doctor Who, I think the way that they've sort of dealt with them has been strange. You've had like some of the most serious topics like Rosa Parks with one of the most clownish Doctors. It's the tone has just been very uneven to me. So I'd love to see it go back to being a more gritty, darker Doctor Who with that fun edge, rather than sort of what we got now. But I don't know. I think it's gone down a certain path, and I think it could be hard to come back from. And unless you really shake it up, and whatever you do, there are going to be sides of fandom that are going to, kick off about it. That's just inevitable. You know what I mean? You can't please everyone. And I just hope that they don't just do the same thing again. I just hope the new showrunner doesn't come in and just try and carry on the Chibnall legacy. I hope they try and put their own stamp on it, and perhaps try and find a middle ground, bring it back to more like the classic, but, taking a bit of the new series. I don't know. It just feels like it's moved away from Doctor Who a bit to me. So I'm not sad to see everyone go, basically, if I'm absolutely honest. I've had enough of this era. Personally, yeah, I totally see that, dude. I think I share most of your thoughts, dude. I think more than anything, I think Jodie was just let down a bit by the writing, I would say, because you're right, she does have the potential to be a great Doctor. Absolutely, she's a great actor, but
like you said, they wrote her to be this kind of what's the best way to put this? Like with previous Doctors, and I'm not saying that she has to copy any other Doctors or try and emulate them, but some previous Doctors that do that stuff well. Like you said, that kind of darker feel to it, but just have that fun edge to it. It was kind of flipped with Jodie's era. It was all that fun, silly, clowny stuff all the time, and then every now and then they would inject this sort of darker edge to it. And it's just the balance was just off, I think, with that, and that's really down to Chris Chibnall. I mean, I wasn't too overjoyed, should we say, that Jodie was going. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't sad at all, but I was more happier with the Chibnall exit rather than the Jodie exit, because even if she decided to stay on and do another series, which obviously isn't the case because of this 3 series and out thing that she had with, which is very strange, isn't it, to do that? It's like,
I thought he had a 5-year plan.
Yeah, he did. Remember at the very beginning.
To that?
Yeah, well, it's been 5 physical years, hasn't it? But it hasn't been.
Yeah.
By the end of next year, it would have been. But I don't know. But even if COVID hadn't have hit, it's weird because even though he said he had a 5-year plan, if we didn't have COVID, he would have cut it short by 2 years, wouldn't he? Which is kind of weird. But yeah, I think. Remember when David Tennant was leaving and he'd made his mind up to go, and he was always wrestling with that decision though, because he said it would be amazing to work with Stephen Moffat. Imagine having a David Tennant series overseen by the Moff. That would have been really interesting and cool. So if she had have decided to stay on, we might have seen a really good version of her Doctor. That new showrunner might have said, look, we need to do this and tweak this and change that, which she might have been up for. But yeah, it's just, Adam and I, we don't want to sound like negative ninnies here. It's not like we're bashing the show too hard or anything like that. It's not been terrible, but it's just really not clicked in a way that when we used to watch Doctor Who, it was like, right, can't wait for Doctor Who this Saturday. Right, like the rest of the world has got to stop. You know, we're not doing anything. Very rarely would plans get in the way of watching Doctor Who. But I think in Jodie's era, it's like, for me, I know that there's probably been about a dozen episodes where I've not even watched it on the Saturday night. I've just watched it, it's been recorded on Sky Plus, and I've just watched it the following morning over breakfast. And that says something, when you've got, so yeah.
And also, have you gone back and watched any? I mean, that's the thing. I was thinking this the other day. I thought, even episodes there's been, some that I've sort of enjoyed. Demons of the Punjab I liked. I quite like the one with the frog on the chair, takes you away. But I was thinking, have I gone back and watched anything from series 11 and 12? No, I never gravitate towards those episodes, because even the ones that I thought were quite good, they're missing something that makes me want to rewatch them. And I think that's the thing. When I say I'm glad that they're both leaving, it's because this era, I don't have that feeling of there being something there that gravitates me to want to put it on. I'm literally, I honestly think I'm only watching it now because it's called Doctor Who. Like if it wasn't Doctor Who, if it was a soap that was on TV on a Sunday night at 7:00, it'd be one of those shows. If it was on the TV, I'd leave it on, but I wouldn't be purposely thinking, oh, it's 7:00, I've got to sit down and watch that. It's you know what I mean? It's just missing that spark. And that's the thing. With the characters and everything in the Chibnall era, there's been nothing there that I've gravitated towards, apart from at the beginning with Bradley Walsh as Graham. There was a slight, there was something there that was fun and interesting, but that soon went. With the Matt Smith era, Matt's one of my favourite Doctors since the show returned. I think Matt's amazing, but his stories weren't that great. But the thing is, because he was such a great lead character, and this is the same for me with Classic Who, when people moan about the stories not being good, I think, well, when I watch Classic Who, I'm not always watching it for the story. There's just something else there that, like some of the Tom Baker stories, they're not the best, but he's just there's always scenes that you look forward to seeing, and he's just so engaging on screen that he can lift a poor episode to make it worth watching. I'm thinking of K9 and Company, the spin-off. It's it's really lackluster it's not a great episode, but Sarah Jane's in it, and you put it on, and there's something about it that makes you want to watch it. That is just totally missing for me from the Chibnall era. There's nothing there. Like, even if the stories weren't that good, if the lead was engaging or had a sort of a screen presence that I connected to, I think I'd still watch it, because that's what happens with the Matt Smith era. I watch it for the characters, and the performance. And I just don't get any of that from the Chibnall era. There's nothing that makes me want to stick it on at all. I just haven't rewatched any of it. I don't really have any inclination to rewatch any of it. And most of the Doctor Who fans I know, I say to them, did you buy series 11 and 12? No. They buy everything. But have you bought them? No, I'm not interested. I'll watch it on iPlayer. There isn't enough love, or they don't want to complete their collection that, there's not even in their collection. I mean, you don't own them, do you? You don't own series 11 or 12, do you?
No, I don't have either of those box sets, and I don't have the, remember they did the standalone Revolution of the Daleks release as well. Don't own that either. No.
I think off the top of my head, I can think of probably two friends of mine that are Doctor Who fans that own them, that one of them in particular just loves this era, and that's, as I said, that's why I feel a bit hesitant. There's so much I want to say, but I am aware that there are people out there that genuinely love this Doctor and have come on board with this Doctor, but but most of the sort of fans that I've known over the years are just, even the ones that don't mind it, even the ones that are like, I don't mind Whittaker, but did you buy the box set? Oh no, I didn't buy it. No. It's not. It hasn't got that edge to it that makes you think, well, there's a couple of duds, but I've got to pick up the new set because can't finish on series 10. I've got to have the rest of them on my shelf. It's just not. Hasn't got the edge for me at all.
No, you're not alone, dude. You're not alone with that stuff. And to acknowledge and sort of reinforce what you're saying as well. Completely aware that there are people that listen to this podcast that are huge fans of Jodie and this era, and that's completely fine. Like, they're probably thinking, "Oh, you're doing my head in with this." Now,
I know, I'm aware of that, because the last thing I want to do is be droning on and people listen to podcasts thinking, "Oh, for God's sake!" But also, I just want to be honest and give my opinion. Yeah, I don't want to lie to you guys. Yeah,
absolutely. And we would never do that on this podcast. We would never be like, "Oh yeah, we actually think this is really good," and then when we've finished recording, we're like, "Well, that was a bunch of." We'd never do that.
That's the thing, that does happen in Doctor Who a lot now. If you sort of get noticed I've noticed this for YouTubers, if you get noticed by the BBC and you start getting perks, suddenly you seem to love everything and everything's awesome. And we're just we're not that podcast, I'm afraid.
No, not at all. Just to give you an example of that, we had the opportunity to interview somebody involved with Doctor Who. This is going back a few years now. And we had everything set up, and then that particular person was like, actually, I need to run everything that we're doing past the BBC. So I need you to tell me what we're going to talk about. And then I'm going to give you some things that are off limits. And then once the show has been done, I need to send it to the BBC for them to okay it. And you might need to make some edits and stuff. And as soon as I got that email, I was like, thanks for your time and everything. But we'll give this a swerve. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for your time, but thanks, but no thanks. We're absolutely not going to start giving you guys opinions that are just false for the sake of it. Never going to do that. So,
and actually, that is one of the things that does. That's the thing. I said to you earlier, I don't comment my feelings on Twitter to do with Doctor Who anymore. I literally just post merchandise pictures on there now. I don't get involved in that because it has become a bit of a war zone, and I'm sure it didn't used to be as bad. I'm sure. I know it's always been there, but I swear at the minute you cannot. There's a certain side, two sides of fandom that you just, even if you get in the middle of that war zone, you just want to get out of there. You just don't get involved in it because, it seems a lot of people out there are not open to criticism of this era. And criticism is good, we've taken on board criticism of the podcast. If someone messaged us and said, "Oh, you guys do this," or you've got those wrong, it does push you forward. And so does opinion. I know I said earlier you like getting involved in a ruckus. We quite like people who have got difference of opinion. I mean, I love it if I go to a pub and we're sat down and people know I love Time in the Rani, and we'll start ribbing me about it, and I'll be like, well, yeah, but this is why. And then we start talking about why I like it. Why do you hate it? Do you hate it because it's rubbish, or because you heard it was rubbish and you sort of jumped on that bandwagon, or do you? So discussion is good. It can be fun. You know, it doesn't have to be that we all love the same thing. It's nice when we do, but you know, it's not bad to have a difference of opinion on stuff. That's what I'm saying. Sound preachy now, turning into Jodie. And turning to the camera and saying, it's not bad to have opinions, listeners.
Yeah, in the script, turns to the camera, looks forlorn. Yeah, it's not bad to have an opinion.
Opinions are good.
Opinions are good. So yeah, to cap this off then, mate, we're both quite glad, but not in a disrespectful or harmful way towards Chris Chibnall or Jodie. We're just glad that this era is coming to an end, so that we can look forward to whatever they've got planned, whatever that might be, past 2022. Yeah?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, to reiterate, I have absolutely no hate towards this era. I haven't really enjoyed it, but I'm glad to see this era coming to an end. And I hope that going forward, what I would love is if Series 13, something in it really, you know, that I really enjoy it. I would love that to happen. I'd love there to be something in it, a bit like a lot of people with Capaldi's Series 10. They felt that really clicked for them. They, you know, and I thought it was a great series. I would love that to happen with Series 13. I'd love to get to the end of it when we've reviewed it and said, you know what, that was a cracking series, that. And I finally feel like I've warmed to Jodie. That would be brilliant. So, yeah, I'm still excited for 13, but I'm definitely looking forward to what the future holds. I'm slightly worried what the future might hold as well, but I'm looking forward to change.
Yeah, ditto, man.
Yeah.
Yes. So there you go. You knew it was coming anyway, but confirmed Jodie and Chris are packing the bags.
They're off.
And I think it's going to wrap soon, actually. I think, where did I read? Or was it Jodie's quote or something? Basically, so she says in that quote in the press release, she goes on to say, so here we are, weeks away from wrapping on the best job I've ever had. I don't think I'll ever be able to express what this role has given me. I will carry the Doctor and the lessons I've learnt forever. So that sounds to me like the bulk of stuff and these specials that they're going to go out next year, it sounds like that's all coming to an end in terms of the cameras rolling and stuff like that, and then it'll be on to post-production and stuff. But and also not to forget that we are getting an extra bit of Jodie that we weren't expecting as well. So it was meant to be the 3 specials, but now it was meant to be the 2 specials and that was it. But now we're getting those 2 plus this feature-length adventure, they're calling it. So they're not calling it a special. It sounds to me like it's going to just be a made-for-TV movie. That's what it sounds like when they say a feature length. You know, when they say feature, it means like runtime of a film. So 90 minutes, whatever, I suppose. But so, yeah, that's it. They're off. No more discussion needed. Yeah. Right. Review time, dude. Hit me.
Yeah, so Torchwood Series 2. I can't remember which episode it is, but it's called From Out of the Rain.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, have we got a show for you tonight? So, step inside.
Just saw Jack.
He's part of this freak show.
The Night Travelers. They did exist. They only performed in the dead of night.
So, 2 people from a piece of film have decided to go AWOL.
What's wrong?
My mouth's been drained of moisture.
What the hell are they up to?
She said they were coming to steal her last breath.
Time to bring the others.
This way, please.
Ooh, creepy stuff.
Creepy times at Torchwood. From Out of the Rain was broadcast back on the 12th of March 2008. It was written by Peter Hammond, directed by Jonathan Fox Bassett. That sounds like somebody who shouldn't be a TV director, but more running the hunt at the Royal Equestrian, you know. Jonathan Fox Bassett, very posh.
Good name, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, starring the usual Torchwood Hub crew that we've been reviewing forever now through Series 2. And
it does feel like we're stuck in a time.
Yeah, my wife said to me, "You're not still on Series 2." I'm like, yep. And we've got 3 or 4 more episodes to go after this one. So
Yeah, this is episode 10, by the way. Yeah.
Synopsis is when an old cinema reopens, past horrors emerge to stalk the streets of Cardiff. As bodies are found with heartbeats but no breath, Torchwood must act fast. Who are the night travellers? How can Torchwood capture these mysterious breath takers? From Out of the Rain then, Bud, what are your thoughts on this one?
From Out of the Rain. So, when we first started reviewing Torchwood, I think I said I can't remember a lot of it. That I haven't watched it for so long. There are very few episodes I actually remember, but this has always stuck in my mind. This is one of the few episodes that when you mention the title, I say, "Oh yes, I remember that one." And I think it's because of the imagery. I remember at the time really liking this one when this aired. I loved all the circus stuff, the creepy clown guy, the sort of concept of them being trapped in film and coming out of the film, Jack appearing in it. There seemed to be some really great ideas, and so this one sticks in my mind, although it was great to rewatch it and actually refresh my memory, because I haven't watched Torchwood for so long, which is why I was looking forward to reviewing it. Actually, I thought, it'd be really great to go back and revisit it. So on a rewatch, I still think there's some great ideas in it, and I still like this episode. It wasn't quite as good as I remembered. It was certainly a lot slower than I remembered, not necessarily in a bad way. It sort of plodded off. It's taking its time. This is not a rush around Cardiff after chasing monsters. It's it's just a nice creepy episode. But I think where it sort of fell slightly off the wayside was sort of the ending. Really, I don't know. It seemed to lose momentum a little bit, and it didn't really have a satisfying ending to me. I felt like there was some great ideas being thrown into the mix that they didn't quite know what to do with. So yeah, I still think it's a good one. It's definitely one of the episodes of Torchwood that I would put up there as one of the better ones. Certainly one I would enjoy watching again. I don't know. It wasn't quite as good as I remembered. I have to be honest. It seemed like it had a bit more potential, I suppose, is what I'm saying. I think, they really could have gone to town on that. It's a great concept. These guys coming out the cinema, out of the film. So yeah, but I liked it. I think it's a good one, and I think the cast are pretty good in it. They seem quite relaxed. Like the performances, especially Barrowman's, is very much toned down, and he's playing it quite sort of serious in this, which I thought made a nice change. Yeah, it's a thumbs up from me, mate. I still enjoyed it. I think it's one of the ones that I would watch again. I like it. I quite like it. It's just not amazing. So, you know what I mean? I just got to the end and I thought, yeah, that was good. But that's it. I just thought, yeah, good. Enjoyed it. Was it great? No, but good. What do you reckon? I had visions of I thought Gary's either going to really like this creepy one or he's going to be sat there bored rigid.
Yeah.
So which was it?
So I was bored out of my mind.
I had a feeling you would be. I don't know. I got about halfway through and I thought I'm enjoying this. And I thought, it is slow though, isn't it? I thought, I wonder if Gary's got to this point and he's really bored or if he's really got into it. So you were bored.
I was bored stiff, mate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
It's really weird. I'm not sure if I'm in sort of camp nowhere, with this one where everyone seems to quite, those episodes where the majority of fandom quite likes it and you're like, have I watched a different episode or something?
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm in that camp this week on this one. And I do apologise, listener. I think after you've just heard us talk about Jodie and Chibbers leaving stuff, and now I'm going to be quite negative on this one. So I do apologise. But yeah, I was excited about the premise of it and the idea and stuff, because I don't remember watching this Torchwood one from years before. When did this first go out? 2008. Yeah, so I honestly can't remember. And then when I started to watch it again, I was like, okay, I remember that little bit, and I remember that character. Obviously, I remember the main character. What's his name? The Ghost
Maker.
The Ghost Maker. Yeah, I remember that guy and stuff, but I didn't remember the woman who was with him or anything like that. But Oh, mate, I just really, really struggled with this one. It was, it's just really unenjoyable for me to watch because it's a bit like going into a restaurant that you know does really good steak, for example. And then you get it and it's mediocre and you're like, oh, that could have been really nice. But it was just, I asked for rare and they gave me medium. Not good. It's got that kind of feel to it where, because you and I really like sort of the scary, not all the time, but, we appreciate sort of when Torchwood or Doctor Who, for that matter, does that kind of creepy, scary ones every now and then. And, they really play on the, sometimes in Doctor Who, especially in the classic era, they've lent into the sort of the Hammer horror, especially in that Hinchcliffe sort of era, that Hammer horror kind of thing from time to time, which works really well. And then some of the scarier ones from 2005 onwards, they've had that more kind of ghost story kind of feel to it, which is really good. So for this one, I was like, I think this is going to be a real creepy one. And there are some little creepy moments in it, but for the most part, mate, nothing really happens. That's the problem with it for me. Like nothing of consequence is really happening. Because if you think about, and you could argue and say that, but there's sort of a dozen people that end up having their breath taken away and that, the makeup effect's quite good around their mouth and face and all that stuff. And at the end, it's quite sad. They weren't able to save everybody. They did manage to save that kid. But for the most part, if you think about some other Torchwood and Doctor Who things, there's lots of people that are dying and stuff like that. So it's not like, but what I mean by nothing really happens is that this Ghostmaker dude comes out of the celluloid from the film. They've been preserved, haven't they, in the film? And when they get played at this old cinema, which Tosh describes at the very beginning as having like quite a lot of rift activity and stuff. So something's going to happen. And they emerge. You don't see them emerge at the beginning, but it's later on when he plays the film, you see the other circus dudes, the night, whatever they're called. What they called the night travelers. You see them coming out of the screen and stuff like that. But like there's no, I can't understand. I can't put my finger on exactly what their motive is in the story. It's like, do they want to conquer the world? Do they want to make everybody ghosts? Do they want to conquer Cardiff? Do they just want to get the band back together and go back on the road as a circus?
That would be great.
I'm just unclear on what it is these dudes are doing. And it's also weird that nobody can really... It was quite frustrating as well in the script, the way it was written, that nobody can seem to definitively put their finger on, right, this is what these things are. This is how we stop them. Let's go and do that. Like, for some reason, Jack's character is he's not very forthcoming throughout the story about what's going on. I think he might just be a bit cagey about his past. Do you remember any time that he's been pressed on that? He gets a little bit withdrawn and cagey. So it might be something to do with that, But throughout the whole thing, it's almost like they're just drip feeding you little bits of stuff throughout the story. So we have the conversation in the hub, and he's like, kind of seen these guys before. And they're all confused. Well, but that's you in the film. So you absolutely 100% know who they are and what they do. And he's like, but... And then, like, 20 minutes later, him and Yanto having a conversation with a witness from donkeys years ago at the old people's home.
Old granny, And
she's then telling us as the viewer what these things are and her experience. And Jack's still like, And then right at the end, it's like, so you still have no clue then, Jack, really what these things are or how you're going to stop them. It's only right at the beginning, like by accident, they're like, hold on a minute. Maybe if we reverse the process, that will work, because they were put on film and they escaped from film. Why don't we film them? And then we'll take the film out in sunlight so it overexposes and they get wiped out. It's very, very thin and loose, the plot and how things transpire and how it's concluded. So for me, mate, Peter Hammond's script is just... it felt like the script was turned in and nobody read it and they just started filming it. So it was like, because Brian Minchin, he's the script editor.
Yeah.
And this might explain something, but Chris Chibnall was one of the producers, on the show. So throwing some shade there. But,
bit of shade.
Usually when you turn a script in on a TV show, it goes through a bajillion reviews and all that stuff until it gets to the point where they're happy and they're like, right, okay, now it's at a point where we can confidently put the cameras on and start doing it. It felt like the opposite with this one for me. It felt like they turned the script in, they left it, forgot about it, and then in the schedule it's like, oh crap, we've got that one coming up, no one's reviewed this yet, well, we're out of time, we need to shoot it, so away you go. Not impressed, mate.
No, I can tell. Yeah, I'm shocked. I felt you might have found it a bit tedious, but wowzers, yeah, you're really not into this one. See, I find it is one I think you need to be in the mood for, because I think it's going for that atmospheric, episode, which it's totally different in tone to the last one we watched, the Something Borrowed, the wedding. That was very action-packed. There was loads going on. There was lots of humour and fun. This episode is very much very slow-paced, and it's, for me, I find it quite atmospheric. And I was thinking, actually, we always mention the music, or we often mention the music in whatever we're reviewing. The music, for me, plays a huge part in this, because there are quite a few scenes where, like you said, not a lot is going on, but the music for me really sets the tone. Like it's a really good creepy score in this one. And there's a couple of scenes, and I was thinking, if it didn't have the music there, if you imagine watching a rough edit of this, I might be quite concerned as a producer. I might be thinking, oh, this is a bit flat. But you put that music on it and it makes such a difference. So for me, the music really creates a good atmosphere in this episode. And I don't know, maybe it's because at the time I liked it. As I said, it's just the imagery of the episode, and I like the ideas going on in it about these people trying to escape from film. I think that's really cool. But I found the end bit unintentionally funny when Jack is running around with a video camera and he's sort of hiding behind one of the theatre chairs, like trying to film him. It just made me laugh. I was like, what is he doing? I don't think it's supposed to be funny. But yeah, I get it. I think it's one of those, I think you have to be in the mood for it. You do have to be a bit forgiving with the script. I think that's what I was alluding to earlier when I said that there's some great ideas in it, but it doesn't quite pull it off, if you know what I mean. The ending, it just felt like all the ingredients were there, but it didn't quite come together as well as it could have done. So yeah, I think I do get where you're coming from, but I kind of went with it, and I must admit I did enjoy it overall.
That's cool, man. That's cool. You enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different tone though, isn't it? Like I said, even the cast are very much on a, like Barrowman is very subdued in this one, but I quite liked that. I felt like he was taking it a bit more seriously. But it's funny because I hadn't really picked up on the fact. I love the bit where he's in the film. Yanto spots him, and I thought that played a bigger part in it. I kept thinking, yeah, what's that about? I remember loving that. The first time I watched it, it was sort of thrown in there, and it was a shock. And Barrowman's in the film. What's going on? Sorry, Jack's in the film. I keep, let's refer to the character. So I was thinking, I loved all these little twists they kept throwing in the first time I watched this, but watching it again, I was thinking, yeah, they don't really sort of take that forward. What was that about? Like you just said, he's there. He should know a lot more about what's going on, but he seems to be really holding back. And I guess that's just so they can sort of stretch the story out a bit. But then why put him in there in the first place? I don't know. So yeah, as I said, lots of great ideas. Maybe they just don't quite come together really. And also, my partner watched the first 5 minutes and said, "Oh, we watched this recently." I said, No, I haven't watched this for ages. And then I think what we both realised was it reminds us of the Sarah Jane Adventures episode. I'm sure it's the same cinema or theatre. Sorry, there's one where they go to. I think it's a cinema in that rather than a theatre, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it's the same location, and it might even be the one where Bradley is a clown. I can't remember.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah, so I was thinking, that's probably what we're both thinking of, because it did feel a bit familiar to begin with. Them going to the theatre, and it's I think the same location, and they start watching something, and things start happening, and all that sort of thing. And also, it does have a bit of a bleak ending, which is very Torchwood, doesn't it? Now, I quite like the fact that not everyone survives. I think it makes a nice change. So you get this sort of slight little moment at the end where it's like only one breath has been saved. You're like, oh, which, and you're trying to guess which one it's going to be, and it turns out to be the little kid, doesn't it? So it's typically Torchwood bleak, that. But I thought it kind of worked because it gave me a moment of which one is it, which one survived, sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was a good little twist, but it is a bit bleak, I suppose, that not everybody lives this time.
No, I read you. Yeah.
How many times they mentioned Hope Street as well?
Oh, God,
Let's get down to Hope Street.
Talking of locations and stuff, you know the character Jonathan, you know the teenage son of the people who own the Electro cinema. He's the one that's discovered all of the film cans and he's editing all the films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
His flat is the attic from Sarah Jane.
Is it?
Yeah.
I did not notice that.
Yep.
I didn't notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just sort of living in this warehouse thing, isn't he?
Oh no, not the warehouse. That's but his flat. Yeah, when he that's Sarah Jane's
I didn't
attic.
spot that.
Yeah.
Oh, so they reused it. Right. Okay, I'll have to have a look at that next time.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what to say, mate.
Cast.
Cast.
Did you like Julian Bleach as the Ghostmaker? Because Julian Bleach.
No.
What?
No, I didn't like him as the Ghostmaker. Loved him as Davros. Did not like him as the Ghostmaker, mate.
Why?
Because he didn't really pull off the. Right, here's my biggest gripe with this. Right, is that you can see what they were trying to do. They were trying to have, right, when you boil everything down, they just wanted these scary, creepy people from a bygone age who have appeared through film to terrorize people and then realize that they can get the band back together by getting the film, playing it in the cinema. That's the crux of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
By way of doing that, they tried to make it very creepy and scary. But unfortunately, his accent sounds quite silly. So instead of him coming across as this kind of creepy character, the only creepy bit actually that he appears in is right at the beginning when Jonathan is watching all the film stuff through and he appears on film like beckoning him to sort of come to the entrance of the travelling circus. And even when the power shuts down, you know, he's still on screen. That's a bit creepy. But as soon as he opens his mouth, he's got this silly kind of accent. And then there's a bit later that's, oh, mate, I'm really trying hard not to go off on one. But
go off.
There's throughout the first sort of third of the story, I suppose, they show him at night, right? And his accomplice, the mermaid woman, who is in water for about 0.5% of the thing, and she's drinking water out of a dustbin lid. You know, she's meant to be this mermaid lady who can survive at the bottom of the ocean and stuff. And a character describes her with glistening skin and everything, but the makeup guys must have missed the memo on that one because she just looks like, anyway.
She's got a bobble hat on.
So they only show them at night to begin with, and it's like silhouetted at times. There's a woman at the bus stop trying to get a lift home from parents and they're not having it, and then you look across and it's raining and you just see them as a silhouette. But then the way he walks like a catwalk model, he struts over and stuff, and I'm just cracking up laughing. So what should have been this really creepy, scary moment, I end up just falling about laughing, mate. But there's a bit sort of halfway through the story when they're in this little, this car park thing in an industrial area. And he just sat there, and it's the middle of the day, and he's got his hat off, and he's got like a strange, mate, for me, it just falls completely flat. So any kind of intention that they had of trying to make this character scary or creepy is completely laughable.
I thought he was good. I thought he was good. I thought he really suited the role because I think he's got quite a scary face anyway. No offense to Julian Bleach, but he's got these very piercing eyes. So I thought he was quite good. I mean, so not even the bit where he gets Owen and tries to take his breath and says, "You're dead." Not even that bit. No,
it's ridiculous because I'm trying to think of some other sort of horror style TV shows or films where they've done this kind of style.
Was he a bit too panto for you? Is that what you mean? He's a bit too...
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
Panto villain.
Yeah, just complete panto villain. And
I mean, he wouldn't look out of place in Wacky Races, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. So, mate, that's the biggest thing for me is like I can completely appreciate and understand what they were trying to achieve. But as well as it being very boring, the cast members just, I don't know, like Jack, it's great to see him not leaping around and jumping in that sort of trying to be Rambo. It's great to see him not doing that at times. So when he is like this, it's cool. But the rest of the cast members, it's like, well, did Gwen say anything in this one? I can't remember.
Actually,
afterwards.
I've just seen, I'm just looking at the cast list. I saw Gwen's name there. I just thought, actually, I can't remember her being in it. I can remember, because Jack and Yanto kind of double up, don't they? They become a bit of a double act. Tosh looks at the computer for a little bit.
Yeah.
Owen, I know what you mean. Oh no, there's a scene where they go to the three of them are at the theatre. That's quite a nice scene. Where Owen's bored and Gwen's just taking the mickey, but Yanto, being very geeky like myself, is getting cross because he just wants to watch it. That would be me. I'd be like, shush, I want to see this. Whereas the other two are just totally not interested at all. So they are in that bit. But yeah, actually, now you mention it, Gwen, I can't think she doesn't do anything, does she? I can't remember. Don't think she's hardly in it.
No, she's in the meeting at the hub.
I remember the end because they do get the hip flask, don't they? Which looks really plasticky, I have to admit. That's one of the bad things. Production-wise, it may not have had the biggest budget, this one. That hip flask looks like it's like made of plastic. I mean, they could have just gone and got one from a charity shop, I'm sure, like a proper hip flask. But anyway, yeah, there's that. So they do, that's how it ends, isn't it?
Well, the ending is completely...
I can't remember the end already.
Force-fed. It's basically Jack saying, yeah, we've saved the day, but there's probably multiple other film reels out there where they've been filmed before. And then some dude at the car boot, he's like, how much for this, mate? He's like, oh, of course, mere moments after they've saved the day, someone's just bought a film with those guys.
And he opens it and Jack hears the noise, doesn't he? He's like, oh, I've heard the noise again. Yeah, like, whatever. Yeah.
Oh.
See, that's strange because I liked the beginning when Jack was picked up on something. I thought, oh, that's interesting. Jack's, something sort of like someone had walked over his grave, wasn't it, at the beginning? I thought that was quite cool. But thinking about the ending, it was a bit twee, I suppose. Yeah. It's like he hears it again and looks up. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of cast members, dude, can whiz through those guys really quickly. So Eve Miles, she has a couple of lines. It's quite funny. Like the scene at the beginning at the cinema is quite cool. Yanto doesn't have a bad one. Gareth David Lloyd. He's very perplexed in a lot of it, though. When he goes with Jack to see the old woman, he's just staring at her with like these...
Yeah, I think that's one of the scenes I mentioned where I was thinking if this didn't have music over it, this scene would be falling to pieces right now. That was one of them. Although I thought the old woman gave a great little performance. I was like, I don't know where they found her. I've never seen her in anything before or after. But when you sometimes just get an actor that's giving like a really nice little 2-minute performance and seems to sort of raise the bar a bit, I thought she was really good.
Oh, Eileen Essel as Christina.
Yeah, she was a great little moment from her. But yeah. I know what you mean. There was a lot of staring and looking confused, and
and he does
Jack
it a lot.
doesn't say anything. Yeah.
Jack he just looks bored because he's been there and done it. He knows what's going on, so he knows the situations. He's just like he's kind of huffing every now and then and looking around, like yeah. And then Yanto's like, but he does it at the opening scene, that exact same face when he's studying the film. He thinks he can see Jack, and he's like.
Oh, I also Gary's pulling a great face, listeners. It's a shame you can't see this. So that was him to a T. That was spot on. But I did. That's the other thing I did like as well. The fact that Yanto notices that the people have started going missing from the film. I thought that was a good idea. So he's like watching it, and he's like, "Hang on, wasn't there a guy there a minute ago and that was doing this?" And he's thinking that's quite cool. So then you've got the film playing exactly the same, but without that person in it. I thought again, a really nice little idea is being thrown in there. But yeah.
You had Tosh. She was relegated to Alfred in the Batcave duty, so
she
every now
does
and then
a lot of
she's
screen scary.
Yeah,
Scary.
Jack's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Hold on." Yes, there seems to be a disturbance over at the old cinema. It's like we're having a moment to lose. Holy cinema, Batman! Let's go. It's like that kind of 60s Batman vibes
Off
with
to
that
the
stuff.
Electro.
Yeah, and then Owen. So Burn Gorman again. Couple of funny little one-liners. He's kind of taken it in his stride, not really bothered until the end when he gets thrown up against the wall by the Ghostmaker, and he's perplexed for about 10 seconds, and then he's back to his normal self, and everything's cool.
I mean, I must say, there's the only bit in terms of like the direction and stuff, I thought it was fairly okay, pretty good all the way through. But there was one bit at the start which I sort of thought could have been really dramatic, and not quite sure what happened. So it's the very first scene, I think, where you got the circus, and it's supposed to be sort of back in whatever time, and the little girl goes missing, and then it's just that suddenly the mum turns around and the whole circus has vanished, and she's just stood there. So I think that's the very first scene, isn't it?
Oh yes, yeah. In the beginning,
I was thinking it's strange because you've got that should have been a really dramatic moment. Like, she looks up and everything's gone, including her daughter and the circus, and she just kind of stands there and looks at the field. And I thought that was really odd. She, I think, is that a pre-title sequence? You'd surely want like some sort of reaction or something to really get you think, OMG, what just happened? But she just kind of stands there, and I thought that was a really odd. Maybe that's the way it was scripted, but it was a really odd directional choice. Like, I would have said, right now, look up and look horrified, or scream, or something. Your whole family in the circus has just vanished before your eyes, and this is supposed to be, 19 whatever. So you'd never seen anything like this before in your life, and you know what I mean. But there was no reaction at all, which was odd, because that was to sort of lead you into the story, and it was a very sort of lackluster way to do it. And it could have easily been fixed, that. So I thought that was probably one of the few negatives I had written down, actually. It was just like not the best way to start it, but it could have been brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could have been like, oh my God, well, the circus has gone. What? Ah! You know what I mean? It could have really like led into the music, and you're into it, and what's going on here? But instead, she just stands there for what feels like forever, looking around, going, oh, circus is gone. Oh, so is my daughter. Oh well, I go and put the kettle on. It's just a really lackluster start. But yeah, it's probably one of the few negatives I've got, to be honest.
Okay. What did you think to the title? Because it was referenced a few times throughout the episode, wasn't it? Where I think Jack first of all says it. It's like they came from out of the rain, and then one of the nurses is like, "What did you just say?" And that's how they link the old woman in the thing. And
sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
Could you just repeat that plot device again? Wait,
yeah. Yeah. So there was that. And then I think it's mentioned another time later on in the episode, something like that. But I that's one of those things that when Peter Hammond was putting the script together, he was like, oh, how do we get this tenuous link to work from that bit to that bit? Okay,
if I didn't know better, I genuinely would have assumed that, because in that scene when it's absolutely peeing down, and I think it's the scene you're on about where they go to the bus stop, my first thought was, oh God, it's absolutely pouring down in Cardiff. Typical. I bet this is a really like uncomfortable shoot where they were absolutely getting soaked, and then of course I realised, it's supposed to be raining. It's probably might even be fake rain. It's part of the plot. But if I didn't know better, I'd think it was just that they were watching it thinking, oh, it's a lot of rain in this episode. We'll make it part of the story. Because the title for me is odd because it doesn't really sum up this episode. So like I said, I always knew that this was one that I quite liked, but I never remembered the name of it. So even when you said, we're reviewing Out of the Rain next week, I didn't think, it's the circus one. And I think, previously I've said to people, I like the one where they're in the circus, but I've never remembered the name of the episode because it doesn't really fit with the story for me. It doesn't, like you said, why do they come out of the rain? It doesn't seem to have any relevance, really.
Yeah, especially as there's a few scenes where they're just sunbathing in the car park.
Yeah, isn't that another Sarah Jane location? I'm sure that bit where she's like drinking out the bin, I'm sure that was in the same one. But yeah, no, the title, I don't know what I would call it, but I wouldn't have called it From Out of the Rain. It doesn't suit it at all. I don't know what I won't ask you what you would have called it because it's probably full of expletives. But I would have called it something to do with the circus or something.
Yeah,
Electro Circus or something like
around that. The Night Travelers theme would have been cool.
Yeah, the Night Traveling Circus or something. Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably there's sometimes they do have working titles, don't they? Maybe the working title was better. I'm not sure if there was one for this, but I don't know. I did like the music though. I thought the music was quite atmospheric, I suppose, and not sort of in your face. Who was on music duty for this one? I'm not sure.
I thought the music was very good. As I said, I think for me, it really helped make the episode quite creepy because it is slow. But for me, it did bring some tension to the scene. So, yeah, I don't know who did the music, but they did a good job, I thought.
Doesn't say on this one. But yeah, so it just didn't match the visuals that were happening on screen. That's the thing. Okay, have you got anything else on your notes, bud?
No, well, I have, but I can't read it. I've got one little note that I can't read. One sun. No, don't know what I've written there. Probably not important.
Probably not important.
Oh, my writing's terrible. I should write on a computer like you do.
Right. Whose turn is it to go first?
I think it's me.
I think it's you.
And I get the feeling that our scores are going to be very different this week. So I'm going for a 7.5.
Okay.
Out of 100. No, out of 10.
7.5. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
For me, mate, I'm going with a 2.5.
What? That's got to be your lowest. Come on, this is not the worst Torchwood story.
For Torchwood, for me, mate. Do you know what? There's probably a lot of people that really like this one, and probably if you're listening now, you're like, "Oh, come on, Gary." But I've got to say, mate, I was so looking forward to rewatching it because I was really up for a creepy, scary story.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, mate, I could have. I laughed quite a lot during the scary moments. And at the end of it, mate, I was just like, I'm not going to get that time back. I was so bored as well. I was so bored, and it was not scary or creepy. It's like little moments of coolness here and there. But, dude, really not feeling this one, mate, at all.
I'm sure that's got to be your lowest score. Yeah. You even preferred the one with the love shell more than this, the one where Owen's carrying around that blimmin' shell.
Oh, A Day in the Death.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that had, at least that had some what's the word? In the script and the writing, at least it had a bit of competency in getting characters from A to B through the story and, you know, going through stuff. This one, I can't get my head around this one, mate. But
do you think it had potential?
Definitely.
Or,
yeah.
Because I was going to say, when you break down some of the ideas in it, which I like, they are a bit ridiculous. I mean, I will acknowledge that. Like some of the ideas, which I always like it when a writer throws in ideas, even if they don't really work. I just love it when people are being imaginative, if you know what I mean. And I think the writer's definitely got some good stuff going on there. But I don't know. The reason I say that is because I think there is a bit where Tosh is saying something about, she's sort of giving a bit of exposition, and I thought, oh, it does sound a bit silly on, you know, when you think about it. But yeah, I don't know. I just like the fact the writer is trying something different. But so there is potential there, right? But you just didn't think it'd come together.
Yeah, it's definitely potential. It could have been a real banger. Okay. It could have been, even if because it's one of those isolated Monster of the Week things. Even if it didn't end up being like a highlight of the series, it still could have been one of those talking points as you're talking with people at the pub about Torchwood, like, oh, well, did you let your kids watch From Out of the Rain? Because it's really scary, isn't it?
It's like really the Nightmare Man sort of thing in Sarah Jane, which was a great creepy episode.
Yeah. But instead, it's I don't know.
It's weird because, do you know what? In my memory of this episode, I thought they got trapped in the film. I think I was mixing it up with Jack being in the film, if you know what I mean. I thought, I'm sure like they start filming them and then they're trapped in the film. But that didn't happen. So I don't know what, I must have imagined that. But that would have been quite cool, really, wouldn't it? If maybe it just needed a bit more threat, like you said. It's just that, if maybe they'd turn the tables and actually they start putting Yanto and Jack in the film, and they're trapped and they got to try and get them out and also defeat do you know what I mean? There was a lot they could have done. There was a lot they could have worked with, I think.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
Yeah. And I think that's why I said in my mind that I think it wasn't quite as good as I remembered, but I still liked it.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. 7.5 from you, I think. And also, just lastly, because it's Torchwood and it does have a bit more wiggle room for the adult audience, they could have made it even scarier than what we'd seen in the past from Doctor Who and stuff. They could have made it a proper horror.
They could have gone for
creepy,
it,
like a full-on, like just go for it. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It could have definitely pushed the boundaries just a bit more. Didn't need to go silly like Series 1 gore, but it could have pushed the boundaries a bit, yeah.
Yeah, so it's more panto than horror for me anyway. Right, so 2.5 from me, 7.5 from him. What do our listeners think, though? We had a few audio listeners in as usual. Our regulars these days, it seems. Let's crack on first with Mr. Joe Turner.
From Out the Rain is a creepy story. Julian Bleach's champagne casting as the ringmaster. I love the idea of the night travellers. It's so eerie, especially when the Torchwood team keep hearing that terrifying circus music throughout. The first half of this episode is great. It's scary and it establishes the myth of the night travellers in an effective way. However, once the night travellers are released from the film footage, I felt as though they lost their threat slightly. I much preferred when we saw them on the film footage, especially the image of the ringmaster that kept appearing. The mermaid woman was just odd and very pointless, as all she did was wave her arms about whilst pulling strange faces. The Torchwood team are good in this story. Jack does a good job by establishing the myth, whilst we get to understand more about Yanto's love for the Electro. It's a very bleak episode, with only one of the ringmaster's victims surviving, and the ending could have been stronger. However, I do like that we get to hear a little bit of the circus music toward the end of the episode, when the Torchwood team think they've defeated the night travellers. So it just leaves the book open for maybe the night travellers to return one day, and it questions whether Torchwood really did defeat them. So overall, I'm going to give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you.
7.5, same as me.
Same as you, bud, yeah? Yeah, it does leave the door open, I guess, if there's potentially loads and loads of film canisters knocking about with these dudes on it. They could come back multiple times. There you go. That's Jodie Whittaker's finale all sorted. The Night Travellers are back. Because Chibbers was on this one, so could bring them back to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much, Joe. Found it creepy. Okay. Moving on. Mr. Neil Campbell. Let's do it.
What about you fellas? How's it going? So, Torchwood from Out of the Rain. It's a dead creepy episode, and I think it hones in on the fact that a lot of people in society in general are freaked out by circuses or clowns or travelling shows. And with Julian Bleach in the story, he has the ability with his voice to creep people out. Like, he has that voice. And obviously he would go on to play Davros in Doctor Who a couple of months later, but him and his travelling companion are very strange. But there's so many good things in this episode as well. Like, it's creepy, like I said, but I like the whole old-fashioned cinema. I like that scene with Christina, which was sad at the start because she said that nobody ever comes to see her. But whenever she said to Jack, your eyes are older than your face, it means you don't belong, he was very taken aback by that. But I thought that was a nice nod to Jack's whole backstory. It was good to see Yanto get to do a bit more, and obviously at the end, to save the young child, which is sort of like a recurring theme in Torchwood. A lot of episodes involve children, but I like the ending where it planted the seeds for where the night travellers maybe have escaped. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think it's a strong story. So all in, I am going to give this an 8 out of 10. Cheers.
An 8?
An 8. And he liked Julian Bleach's voice, something you didn't like.
Yeah.
You weren't impressed with the voice, were you?
Yeah, I wasn't on board with the voice, but I can see why people would like it, though. Totally. I can see why people like Neil would be into that. And I think that's a common theme in the feedback, in the review, that Does it potentially open up the door, years down the line? I'm surprised Big Finish haven't jumped on that yet.
Oh, give them a time. Give them time. Yeah.
An 8 from Neil, though. Thank you very much, Neil. Moving on from Dan Under, this is Sammy Satine.
G'day, Gary and Adam. Sammy Satine here. So, from Out of the Rain. I like this story. I find the whole taking your last breath thing interesting. I also like how Jack uses his brain, which doesn't happen too often for some reason, and works out how to defeat the film creatures from the circus. Julian Bleach really knows how to play creepy characters, doesn't he? I mean, this Ringmaster, the Nightmare Man, Davros. I do have questions, though. How does a mermaid made of film drink and bathe in water? What was with all the candles around the deserted pool? Where do they get the flask from? And how come Torchwood doesn't just destroy all the old film reels? Or at least the ones with the circuses on? I like the old lady. She seems lovely. I give it 8 mermaids out of 10. See ya.
Another 8, though.
Yeah, you see, Sammy would have sussed that out. She would have sorted this out straight away.
Yeah,
just destroy the film reels.
That might have been a more interesting episode if it just lasted 10 minutes, where they just rounded up all the film canisters that dude had in his flat
and threw them on the candles.
Just got the sledgehammer to him and just smashed everything up. Job done.
Yeah, you make some very good points there, Sammy.
Yeah.
That
Sammy liked
mermaid.
Yeah, the mermaid that we have. What was that about, dude?
Drinking from the bin. I don't know. I didn't really pick up on it much at the time, but
well, they said that in the episode. They said this is the human mermaid, and you'd believe that she could live underwater or something, but we never see her fully submerged. All she is lying in the bath for a bit.
I forgot about that bit. Yeah,
but even then, her hands and feet and her face are above the water. She's not doing anything mermaidy. And then somebody describes her. Oh, she had beautiful glistening skin. And then it cuts to her and she's just pale. Like the makeup team have not done anything to... Sorry. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sammy. 8 out of 10. Good score. Lastly, this is TN66.
From Out of the Rain is a very good Torchwood episode. I love the concept having this travelling show trapped on film who slowly overtake the footage and begin to escape, and it reflects on the legacy of film and the entertainment it killed off along the way. It's a very creepy and sinister story. I love seeing Julian Bleach as the Ghostmaker stalk the streets of Cardiff as he steals the breath of others, as he brings a really creepy and unnatural performance. I do kind of feel, though, considering his performances as Davros and the Nightmare Man, I could have used them slightly better. The story has a strong mystery and strong plot threads as they untangle the truth of the mystery, but I do think the ending is a bit rushed, even though I like the tragic but hopeful ending in that everyone whose breath was taken dies, but one survives. It's a story I wouldn't expect to see in Torchwood, but I kind of welcome it and find it a lot of fun. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5.
Another good, decent score. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. TARDISnet, do you make a point with this? Is it? You wouldn't expect to see it in Torchwood. Do you reckon this would have been a cool Sarah Jane?
Well, I was thinking that, but then I thought, I forgot that Julian Bleach played the Nightmare Man, and I'm starting to see a lot of similarities between this and perhaps that story. So maybe they sort of did their own version of it. I don't know. I can't remember, but. Yeah, it could have worked as a Sarah Jane. Like you said, this could have worked as a Torchwood. I think if they'd just upped the scariness, Julian Bleach's character didn't really do a lot in this. Now I think about it, and he could have been utilised a lot better, like TARDISnet says.
Yeah,
he definitely could have been a lot scarier. I mean, I remember him being scarier as well, but he doesn't really do much in this. Now I think about it. Yeah.
Because the in its finished state, this could have gone out as a Sarah Jane. There's nothing scary in this that would have creeped out kids or anything like that. So I don't know. Make a good point, TARDISnet. Yeah. 7.5 though, not a bad score.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, audio reviewers. Much appreciated as always. Let's move over to the socials over on Twitter. Our writer Jordan Shortman says, I've always liked this story. I think as a massive horror movie fan, I've always loved creepy things. Julian Bleach is terrific as the circus leader, but one wonders if given how the writer created Sapphire and Steel, it might have been a better story for that series instead.
Did he? I didn't know that. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, good point, Jordan. Thank you very much, dude. Doctor Who Home says, feels like a bit of a weird one. Maybe a plot that could have been in SJA or Doctor Who, which they then adapted to be a bit more adult, ? The end is a bit of a downer too, with only one victim surviving, but hey, that's Torchwood. Maybe a 6 out of 10, I don't know really, just a bit average. Okie Chippy T says, there are some great ideas in the episode. It's a bit Twilight Zone / Goosebumps / 60s or 70s weird Avengers story. Circus is a big trope in Who, and this is a good one. 6.5 from me.
Cool.
And lastly on Twitter, Sarah Louise, the running Whovian, says, a great story. You can't go wrong with a circus setting for a spooky tale. The opening scene reminded me of SJA's The Day of the Clown.
Yes.
It was well cast with very creepy lead characters, and having them escape the film reels was an interesting concept, as was the resolution. An 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Not a bad score from Sarah. And over on Facebook, just one comment over there from Andrew Stewart. Says, from what I can remember, I loved this episode. I found it funny, but with a good mix of scary. I love the scene in the cinema where Owen is just cracking out funny quips about the people on the screen. That was quite funny. The villains, especially Jodie and Bleach, were very creepy, so I'll give it 8.5 out of 10. Not perfect, but one of my fave stories from Torchwood, but definitely should give it a rewatch.
Cool. Dude, I had no idea that it was Peter J. Hammond. The writer was the same guy who created Sapphire and Steel. Didn't put 2 and 2 together at all. He's written loads over the years, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's an accomplished.
I did not realise that.
Yep.
Wow. Do you remember Sapphire and Steel?
I do.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a crazy program. That makes sense actually. Now you think about it, it has got that feel to it. Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, I think the book of like the opening pilot or whatever it was they did for Sapphire and Steel. I think the book's really good. I had that somewhere, which I think is written by Peter Hammond. I think. Yeah. But Sapphire and Steel, crazy. He's done loads of Doctor Who and Torchwood stuff though over the years.
Yeah.
Plenty by Big Finish, I think. So yeah, he knows his onions when it comes to sci-fi and Doctor Who and stuff. But I'm afraid, Peter, a lot of respect for you and stuff, but for me, fell flat. But good news, our listeners seem to enjoy it, which is good. And you seem to enjoy it, mate. So.
As did I, yeah.
As did you, yes. Right, next week, dude, what we got?
Next week, it's the 11th Doctor story next week, and it will be The Bells of St. John.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to the Shard.
We knew their caper. We knew what was going on back then with the BBC, didn't we? We knew what was going on. It was like, right, that's all for Doctor Who this year, returning next year.
Oh, yeah.
Will be blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what? We're still in the middle of Series 7. What's going on? That was episode 5 done. What's going on? Oh, we have to wait until next March. I read you.
Yeah, it was the split, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thanks, BBC, for that.
Mind you, we didn't know how good we got it. Look at the gaps we've got now. Anyway, I won't go down that road.
So yes, some Matt Smith action next week with some Clara and lots of motorbiking around.
Oh, not Clara.
And Clara, yeah. So lots to look forward to, it seems, for next week.
It's probably been one of our most negative podcasts ever. Probably got no listeners left.
Yeah.
All switched off.
They've all switched off by now, yeah. So anyway, bud. Shall we wrap there for, what is it this week? 319?
319.
319. Let's wrap there for 319. Thank you so much for coming back and listening to our podcast for another week. That was 319. It was great to have you on board the TARDIS as always, as we went through the big bombshell news about Jodie and Chris Chibnall buggering off from the TARDIS, leaving the keys under the doormat and seeing what they're going to be up to next. Who knows? But yeah, their era is coming to an end at the end of next year. So we've got Series 13 that's going to start in the autumn. Bit ambiguous, the autumn, whatever month that is. And then next year we've got the 2 specials plus the one-off feature. So let us know your thoughts on the news that you already knew. Yeah, hit us up on Twitter and stuff, and yeah, tell us what you thought.
I do hope that Chibnall throws a match on the console set as he leaves. Get rid of that thing.
Yeah. Lots of conversation we could have around that for sure. But yes, that was the news. And then thank you so much for those of you that sent in your reviews for From Out of the Rain. Much appreciated as always. Next week, as Adam said, The Bells of St. John. So get that watched because we'll be asking for your reviews as always. In the meantime, remember to follow us on whatever podcast app you listen to your podcasts on. That way you won't miss a show when it lands every Friday. And if you've got a minute to leave a rating and a review, that would be awesome because it helps us out a lot. Or you can listen to our show over on the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. Listen to all the shows for free there. Plus, you can check out all the reviews and articles from our writing team. It's all very good stuff over there. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Links on the website. Come and give us a like and a follow over there. Plus, we have a free Discord server, which is takes just 2 minutes to sign up and join the community over there. Lots of cool Doctor Who chat going on over there, so come and do that. And also remember to check out my co-host channel over on YouTube. It is The Geek's Handbag.
The Geek's Handbag, yes. Loads of vids over there for you to watch, and I'm on all the socials.
Don't forget about them
Facebook,
socials.
Twitter, but I don't post opinions. No, I do. I do occasionally, but yeah, I do like to chat.
He does like a chat, yeah. So The Geek's Handbag, that's the name to remember. On YouTube and the socials, go and watch all of Adam's vids on there. Get comfy. Some great geekery stuff to be had. Until next week for 320, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,